I am absolutely disgusted. I am upset. I am worried. And quite honestly, I think the time has come that New Zealand needs to stand up. The real New Zealanders with half a brain need to stand up and tell this current government of ours that this time they've gone too far. And when you have a Maori bird who is prepared to put a taniwha ahead of common decency, that is the time when we should really start getting angry, like I am at this moment. And anyone who takes this nonsense that we've seen from this Jacinda Ardern and this Mahuta woman in the past few hours, it is absolutely disgusting, and it puts us in a position of a position of no power whatsoever, no influence whatsoever. We as New Zealanders, believe it or not, under the administration of this crazy Labour government being driven by the Greens, and we have a Maori Mahuta who is prepared to take New Zealand out of the fold of true democracies and told them to fight it on their own. We are going to go the way of the dragon. Can you as a Kiwi accept that? Can you as a Kiwi accept that we are going to go the way of a country that is prepared to go and raid Taiwan, invade Taiwan, what they're doing in Hong Kong, the thousands of people they are killing under the name of people who are against their ideology, and we have a foreign affairs minister supported by a prime minister who is so woke, so bloody woke, they are putting us all into a situation that all the things that our parents, grandparents, uncles and aunties of a few years ago fought for our freedom, and this pack of wankers, this government, this prime minister and this Mahuta thing has just given that all away. Now listen to this and learn of just how serious this whole thing is about.
Now, our obsession with tiny risks to our health is one way that we're becoming so fragile, but there's also a mind rot, and that's this woke culture. In fact, being woke is now a national security threat. And to prove it, let me introduce New Zealand's Foreign Affairs Minister, Taniwha Mahuta, as woke as they come, and undermining our security. Now, as I've said before, New Zealand is selling out Australia and the West to keep sweet with the genocidal Chinese dictatorship, which is this big trade partner. Now, its trade minister last year even had the hide to tell Australia to show China more respect, although it's actually China punishing Australia for defending human rights. But its foreign minister, even worse. She is now even weakening the Five Eyes partnership. That's the intelligence sharing arrangement between great democracies, US, Britain, Australia, Canada, as well as New Zealand. Now, the other countries in this arrangement know that our greatest threat is China, and they know that if we're divided, we'll fall. China's a very big threat. Can't leave it to one country to resist that. It's got to be united. Yet when these other countries, the four, Australia, US, Canada, Britain, when we released a statement criticising China for arresting pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong, Mahuta refused to sign that on New Zealand's behalf. And when the other Five Eyes countries criticised the World Health Organization report that simply whitewashed China's role in spreading the virus, maybe even creating it, Mahuta refused to join that too. And yesterday, she said, essentially, that the Five Eyes arrangement was now just Four Eyes. She said New Zealand was uncomfortable with expanding the remit of the Five Eyes in this way of criticising China. We would much rather prefer to look for multilateral opportunities to express our interests. She wants a bigger crowd around her before New Zealand puts its hand up. But that is essentially New Zealand leaving it to other democracies to fight for freedom, while it meanwhile sucks up rewards from China for being a good boy or girl. But I think woke culture is also to blame here, because let me now play you some of the speech that this Foreign Minister gave yesterday. Now first know this, Mahuta is actually from a privileged family. She went to an Anglican girls' boarding school. She studied social anthropology at university. How hip is that? She's got her facial tattoos, her moko, only 5 years ago to show she was a Maori leader. It's the whole politics of racial identity. It just oozes from her. Now, if you ask me, her speech yesterday hinted, at least to me, that New Zealand's Foreign Minister actually feels that confronting China is a white person's obsession. For her, there are wonderful similarities between the Chinese dragon and the Taniwha of Maori mythology, which she cited as an inspiration.
When I think about this relationship, as referred to earlier, I liken it to the respect a Taniwha would have for a dragon and vice versa. Taniwha are protectors or guardians, often of water, and hold dominion over rivers and seas and lakes, lands and territories. Deeply steeped in culture, they are spiritual and one with nature. I see the Taniwha and the dragon as symbols of the strength of our particular customs, traditions and values that aren't always the same, but need to be maintained and respected.
What woke mystic babble? Respect the Chinese dragon. Except, of course, we're not really talking about Chinese dragons or a Maori Taniwha. We're talking about a brutal dictatorship that has locked up 1 million Muslims, that is threatening to invade Taiwan, that has got 2 Australians hostage in its jails. But New Zealand's Foreign Minister is so dizzy with her New Age earth worship and her old nature gods. For her, China is actually an ally in the fight against global warming, which seems to her far more important than the danger of war.
The Taniwha and the dragon know, for example, that their ecosystem is rapidly experiencing change because of climate change. These are areas for further cooperation.
I mean, spare us. New Zealand actually has a foreign minister who was inspired by some mythical monster and citing it as a reason to show respect for a dictatorship. It shows that woke politics is making the West desperately weak, and China would be laughing. Well, Australia's Foreign Minister is visiting New Zealand tomorrow. I don't think she'll be laughing as well.
Are you embarrassed? Are you even just a little bit embarrassed that those are the people representing you and I on the international, the world stage? Because I tell you what, I am completely pissed off and completely angry that we have allowed a person like Mahuta to stand up there and talk so much bloody crap and nonsense on your behalf and my behalf. Well, I'm making it quite clear now that everything she said is nothing that I believe in or I want to have any foreign minister such as that spouting on my behalf. This whole thing is disgusting, it is wrong, in fact, I think it's close to being treasonable.